Smiling. Welcome to another edition of Let's Talk Show. I'm your host, Andrew James, and it's my honor and privilege today to have with me the lovely and talented Roxanne Niles-Alleyne.
Good morning, viewers, and thank you, Andrew, for having me on your show.
Thank you, Roxanne. This is a very relaxed show. Here we just try to reach out to MHS alumni and just have a simple conversation. Can we talk about your experience at Mackenzie High School and tell me a bit about yourself if you don't mind me asking?
No problem. I commenced Mackenzie High School in 1998. Just hearing that year, I know many of you are saying that definitely I'm a part of the young generation of this alumni. However, my experience at Mackenzie High was definitely a blast, I will say. Like many prospective students who are about to write the common entrance who are just envisioning their own um, experience of what MHS has to offer. I was once a blooming prospective, and I did enjoy my years at Mackenzie High. A little more about myself. Um, I started in the Opal stream, and after then, I then went into the business stream. And after leaving Mackenzie High, I had a passion and aspiration for the medical profession. Nursing has always been my calling for me, and sooner or later after school, I spent a few months before enrolling in this profession. And from since then, nursing is my life and has been my life. I'm now presently a nurse educator after spending a few years in the clinical bedside.
Excellent. Very interesting. I remember when I was in Guyana, I think 7 years ago, I had an opportunity to visit the hospital, and I had a friend there that was a doctor at the time, and I had a very good friend who was an X-ray technician. So I had a privilege and an opportunity to see the work that was happening behind the scene. And I look forward to coming back to Guyana and visiting the hospital because I heard there's been a lot of changes and a lot of improvements. And I think it's great for the town of Linden and for the people of Linden as well. Um,
Yeah.
Bringing it back together, if I may, can you tell us a little bit about your favorite teachers and your favorite subject during your time at Mackenzie High School?
Favorite teacher will be Mr. Thomas, Miss Smith, and the then George, and still present Sir Osborne, who's presently, at least during my experience, he taught me Spanish. And just a laugh, even though he was my favorite teacher in terms of his um, the attitude and the preparation that he brought to his lesson, for some reason I never passed Mr. Osborne's Spanish class, ironically. Nevertheless, integrated science, because I always wanted to be in nursing, I really fell in love with integrated science and the law for our environment, the human body, and so forth.
Excellent. I was going to ask you how Mackenzie High School prepare you for the real life of work and what you do in terms of your career, but I think you answered that question already by saying you're a teacher. Going back to Mr. Osborne, I think he was the guy that used to ask us to write lines. He would say, write 15 lines. Like if you do something, his form of punishment was lines. So I think we were silly as kids, we were always, a little disgusted, if I may. And this is the guy that used to says, write me 15 lines. And you had to go to the blackboard and you had to write 15 lines. I will not be disobedient. And I couldn't even spell disobedient. So I used to write, I will not, and I had to write that 15 times. So very good. But one thing about Mr. Osborne, I think he instilled a level of discipline and a level of care. And that's something that I've kept with me for up until my adult age. And I think God bless him, and I continue to wish the best for Mr. Husband. How did Mackenzie High School prepare you for your real life of work? I think you said you're a nurse and you're some kind of a nurse trainer. Can you break it down a little bit for us and tell us how did the education you received from Mackenzie High School help guide you in the right direction in terms of your nurse career?
Okay, Andrew. Um, Even though I was placed into the business stream,
Hmm.
usually when we're third form, we make our selections of our course, the third choices. And
Right.
I would have placed the science stream as my first choice. Unfortunately, after exam, I was placed into the business stream. And as saddening as that experience was, I did not take the opportunity for granted. I did utilize my learning experience. I focused on those areas that definitely would have still allowed me to pursue nursing because, like I said, nursing has always been a vocation for me. It has been a calling, and that is what I knew I wanted to do after I ended school. So I really focused on my English, my maths, my science subjects. Technical drawing and arts were an option, of which I dropped, right? So
Hmm.
I looked at my business courses, and definitely those business courses has helped me in my administrative skill. Like I
Right.
said, I'm presently a nurse educator, and
Wow.
being an educator simply means that we prepare the young nursing generation for the world of nursing or the world of clinical nursing, right?
Okay.
It is just the foundation of education for them, and
Hmm.
so I'm a part of that important role in nurturing the young minds to be a part of this noble profession called nursing.
Excellent.
So I really believe that for me, my foundation at Mackenzie High was definitely the cornerstone for this movement into this profession.
Excellent, thank you. I've always wanted to become a nurse, and I remember I did anatomy and physiology here in Canada just a couple of years ago, and I did very terrible. For some reason, my background is in numbers, but I wanted to transition because there's this connotation that nurses make a lot of money, especially in North America. And I says, you know what? I was doing it not because I care so much about being a nurse, but I wanted to make the money and stuff. And I sadly, I realized that the anatomy, learning about the clarax and the narrax and the laryngitis and this and that, all these words,
Laryngitis.
I can, I can do it. It's just what I'm about. Um, Bringing it back together, what advice would you give to current Mackenzie High School? And try not to say, let's all become nurses. Just try not to be biased. Just try to be honest and straight up. What advice would you give to current Mackenzie High School students?
My current advice to the students, Andrew, definitely will be just looking at your example of how you said, you studied anatomy and physiology, and the basis of doing this was generally to pursue the nursing field because of the
Right.
monetary gains that you were going to offer. So definitely, I'm going to I'm going to go into the direction of saying, enjoy your school years,
Right.
focus on your education, take this training ground to mature, to discipline yourself in studying, in
Mhm.
researching, and preparing yourself for presentation. Because when you go out there, definitely you have to sell yourself marketable for whatever business stream you want to enter in. Whether it
Right.
be nursing, whether it be teaching, whether it be carpentry, whatever is your love and aspiration, I'm definitely going to tell you to focus on your education, because when you go out there, even though, Mark, we generally would have said during our school years that, what are we doing some of these subjects for? It is not
Hmm.
relevant to my career that you have in mind. But
That's right.
definitely during school, you're not sure definitely what you want to do. It's until you have finished and you have interfaced with the world that your decision becomes solid. So taking all that is being offered to you, study, apply yourself diligently, be disciplined,
Hmm.
and then when you have that opportunity to knuckle down on what you want to do, go after only what you love doing. Because what
Right.
you pursue that you love doing is what you're going to give your best. And as customers in the community, your people or the members of your community, they deserve nothing but the best from you.
That's correct.
Yeah. So
Thank you for
knuckle
sharing.
down,
Very,
enjoy.
very,
Uh-huh.
very powerful and very good advice. I did agriculture science, and then I realized later on in life I was attracted to numbers, and I pursued my education when I came to China, and I'm now in the accounting field. Um, very powerful information you've shared there with us. This is just a relaxed. It's not even an interview. It's just a let's talk. It's just a
Yeah.
conversation. If at all possible, What do you think we can do as a group or as an organization to influence change in the lives of current Mackenzie High School students?
Oh, that's a good question. And since the establishment of the group, I really was waiting to see what was the true purpose of us, beside connecting and seeing old faces and former students. And Andrew, I really believe that if we want to make Mackenzie High School great and the excellent school that it is, and continue to maintain that performance level, then I really think that we need to push a little more into the structure of the institution as it is. And one area for me that I think that we can definitely focus on is the library.
Okay,
The library is a facility, as we know, that is set up to help support the curriculum of that educational institution.
right.
And once we have a fully equipped and resourced library, then our student population will have no excuse when it comes to acquisition of knowledge, since all the learning materials will be readily available and accessible to every student, regardless of their parents' financial status, whether they come from the higher income, marginal, or the poor. Every student should have equal access to learning material. And I'm saying this based on my own personal experience as a student who went into Mackenzie High from a family who was not rich. And the way that I had to scramble around to get information because my parents could not have afforded the textbooks, it is something that really plays with my heart. And I really believe that we should be giving back to the students. I know many of my former colleagues can agree and share the experience that some of us were not privileged to have these books. So if we have the library fully equipped with traditional textbooks and digital textbooks, so that the students can access these information to whether they want to prepare notes, whether they want to complete their assignments, what is just for research purpose in terms of, reading a little more on that area that they have been exposed to in the classroom, just
Mhm.
to help improve their learning. And we have to agree that every student, being in education, every student has different learning style. And the library must be equipped to reach each student at their learning level. No student at this time in the century should have no excuse for not being able to have the information readily available to them. So whatever is on that book list for that school, regardless from Farm 1 to Farm 6, all those books, I believe, should be in the library. And that's my take, Mark.
Wow.
So if our international colleagues and our local colleagues can come together, create a network, and
Mhm.
maybe connect with the educational sector of the ministry and have this available to our students' population, I think we will be doing them a great justice.
Powerful stuff. I mean, it's you know, I'm actually getting a little shaken up a little. You're actually throwing me off with this interview, but it's actually good stuff. Um, we don't quite realize how much of an important platform we have with this alumni group. Um, I feel sad to hear what's happening, and it actually reminded me of my time when when I was in Guyana. It's it's sad. I know we're recording this and we're doing an interview, but you actually just threw me right off. But that's a good thing. Let me
Yes.
ask you a question to build on what you just said. In terms of giving um, us as in the admin, and I think you're reaching out to members in the diaspora, I guess, in North America and so on. What do you think? Give us one tangible empirical project, if I may, that we can earmark and target. If you know exactly what I'm saying. I mean, you touch on ebooks, you touch on the library. I know there's some concern that Guyana is transitioning away from the formal textbooks and stuff. I don't know much about Guyana because I haven't been there in a while, and I'm a little bit ignorant. But if you're able to, can you tell us about one small project that's burning on your hearts of heart? I mean, I hear you, and it what you just said, it bothered me in a very different way, right? because I have a lot of friends in North America. We're not rich, we're not famous. I'm not boasting, but I think we are comfortably enough, and we are in a position whereby we're able to give back. I'm not saying give back millions, but small,
Baby
meaningful
steps. Yeah, I get
footstep
you,
in the
Andrew.
right direction, if I may, right?
Yeah.
So my question to you, just in closing, if you can tell us about one small project that you, in your estimation, you think we can focus on that can make a substantial impact in the lives of of students in Guyana. It not being one, but it could be many or students, but a small project, if at all. And I'm putting you on the spot, but again, it's just a conversation we're having. Please.
It's no problem, Andrew. It's definitely no problem. If I'm to consider a very small project, and I understand that definitely we need to take baby steps, even though we have envisioned and projected the way forward, I definitely will go in the direction. Again, I'm going to target the library, Andrew, where we can have our stationary area more equipped then. I really believe that coming together as a group, we can definitely provide the library with stationary machines. Example, it should be fully equipped with printers, photocopying machine, and there's a machine known as the resograph or the risograph. This machine allows us to print 40 printing or pages, right? So even if teachers want to prepare for an exam, they can have printing as fast as 40 to 100 pages from a risograph. They can have their masterpiece paper photocopied and it projects out 40 to 100 papers. So we can definitely go in the direction of having the stationaries, always students' handouts, students' exam papers, and so forth, always available. Time management definitely is important. So having a printer, having a photocopying machine, and if we can definitely afford the risograph, we can go in that direction.
Got a quick question for you. How many printers does Mackenzie High School have, or photocopy machine?
The last I heard, Andrew, I think it was one or two, and I really don't think for the population at hand that it's sufficient because the amount of students that are going to be accessing this facility, um, we need to have more machines available and personnel to handle the amount of information that students are going to be needing readily.
Miss Niles-Alleyne, you have left impressionable footprints in my mind. Um, I can't speak for the organization because I'm only one voice, but I want to take this opportunity to thank you for sharing your insights with us. As more and more I interview folks from the alumni, it's I kind of scratch my head sometimes. I don't have hair in my head, but I always scratch my head to learn to learn what's happening, and it's I think it's a good conversation, and it's a good reminder of all of us to remember where we come from and the importance of paying it forward and the importance of doing something that we wish someone would have done for us during our time at Mackenzie High School. I usually try to be a tough guy, but the interview has actually shaken me up a little bit because, um, you talking about, when you were a young person, now you didn't have it all, and you weren't affiliated with the rich and famous and this and that. I remember, when I was growing up, I used to wear the Bata shoes and stuff, the Bata swag. you know, you know, uh,
The
in,
hand me
in
downs, Andrew,
yeah,
the hand me
yeah,
downs.
yeah, yeah. In in regular primary school, I used to wear the Bata Sawaki, and
Mhm.
the back you wear it for a couple of months, and the whole bottom used to fall off. You know, the whole thing used to collapse, and then I guess my parents, when when
And
when when we started going Mackenzie, you step it up a little bit, and you start wearing the Pumas and the low-end brands made in China. You wear it for a couple of weeks, and the whole bottom just will just fall apart. And
and Andrew, and if I may, I mean just speaking, you know, we have to let the current students understand it's not what we wear, it's not the brand names that is going to help us to make it out there, right? It has nothing to do with the brand, but the learning, right? We have to leave school well learned. so that we can easily incorporate ourselves into the society. That some students, you know, we used to just want to get out there, but it's until we got out there that we tried to get back in there. So just take the opportunity. Don't worry with the hairstyle. Don't worry with the name brand bags and the name brand shoes. You know, you can always afford yourselves the luxury after you have attained a well-sound, rounded education.
Yes, yes. Good advice, good advice. We're leaving it there. Miss Roxanne Niles-Alleyne, on behalf of the admin at the MHS Alumni Real 90s crew, I want to take this opportunity to thank you very much for sharing with us. I look forward to having an off-air conversation with you so we can talk about the restograph or the
The
photocopy machine,
restogram.
the
Sure,
restograph or
Andrew,
whatever that.
anytime. I
Um,
really love and enjoy being a part of this group.
I'll no promises, but I'll definitely reach out. I don't know. I know the group is emerging and they're trying to roll out the structure and get stuff registered and this and that. So we are going to be in conversation with the board at Mackenzie High School, and we'll reach out to the current leadership and so on to see whatever we can do as a group. Thank you for your advice. Thank you for taking the time out to share with us. It's important for us as an organization, as group to hear. Our members are not in Guyana, and I think you share your feedback to us was very good. You've left impressionable footprints in my mind, and it would help me steer this organization or this other group in the right direction so we can influence change in the lives of many young people in a positive way. I commend you for being open, and I don't like to use the word honestly, but I commend you for sharing your feedback with us, and it's duly noted. I'm much appreciated. I did make some notes, and like I said, we will be continuing this conversation off the record. Thank you very much. Have a good day. God
Thank
bless
you,
you, and
Andrew.
I appreciate all that you're doing for Linden in terms of training nurses and the impact you're making as a nurse. I love nurses, and I appreciate you for your service to the young people and as
Yeah.
well as the community in Linden. Thank you very much. Have a good night and God bless you.
Thank you, Andrew. You're welcome.
Bye.